So I guess can you start by talking about everything that you got out of that Hawaii trip?
It was, I think, really good to spend that kind of time, with a lot of new players to both on and off the court, to have over 10 days there in Honolulu and Maui, and just to again, I'm proud of the way we competed, winning 3 out of 4, and getting to the championship. I think it was a good trip in a lot of regards, and we came back in a lot of games, showed a lot of grit in the Hawaii game and Texas game, and even Washington State. We played a late game in the first night and had to come back again, and that game took a lot out of us, the Texas game, and sort of battled through Washington State, and we were right there with USC, and we just last 8 minutes we couldn't get loose balls and some defensive rebounds we needed to get. So that's been something we've been talking a lot about. Just the rebounding thing here is something we got to do better at.
Did you learn anything about your team on that trip?
Just the grit, the toughness. Just again, we were down in a lot of those games, and we kind of fought back and won some tough games that not many teams would win. So happy about that on the court, off the court, just seeing the guys interact and spend time. Always groups of guys, walking around the properties, and when we had an off day, most of the guys spending time together around the beach, and it was great for them to enjoy the entirety of the experience, not only basketball and trying to win games, but just spending time away, Thanksgiving together at the hotel and before we traveled back. So a lot of positives.
And for a team with so many newcomers on it, guys are trying to get to know each other on the fly. As much you talk about that stuff off the court, but learning how each other play, how important was that trip on the court for you guys?
I think we grew in some areas and regressed in some others. So it was kind of like the balance is tilted, more towards the offensive end. We put points up against Hawaii and Texas, and then 100 points against Washington State, but our defense kind of dipped, and we need to do better at that end of the floor. So that's been really something we've talked a lot about this week. Can't let a team shoot 76% from the field like Texas did in the second half and expect to win those games, or 60% in each of the other 2 games and win in Maui. So we have to get better defensively.
How much of it had to do with the fact that you're playing back-to-back games, and maybe guys just don't have as much energy as they need to defend?
Yeah, I mean, there's a point there. I mean, we tried to recruit to depth and having enough guys to be able to handle that. It's hard to simulate that. Really, the only time I would like playing in that scenario is if it's like the Big 12 tournament. You're winning. You're playing the third day. That means you're doing something right. So that's a good thing. Otherwise, not ideal, but in terms of the travel and getting out there for all the teams, it makes sense. But definitely for both teams in that game, they're under the same circumstances. So USC just had a little more left in the tank than we did.
You mentioned the grit a little bit. It feels like this is becoming the identity of the team, maybe even more so than most of the teams you've had. Is that fun for you as a coach, and how sustainable do you think it is once you're in a conference play?
We're going to be playing really good teams. This is just the beginning. I always felt like we would be better as the season progressed, and I hope that that's true, but we got to keep proving that, starting tomorrow. So it's, that's one thing to have a somewhat successful trip, getting to a championship, especially a tournament as prestigious as Maui Invitational is, and so we aren't ashamed of ourselves, how we performed, how we competed, but there's going to be a lot of tough games in this month. We got a hard schedule this month. And then obviously the Big 12 is right there. It's a monster, like we all know. So we have to get better as a team, and we've got to improve in the areas we haven't been as good in.
How much has Mo Odom's leadership been? Because it seemed like last year you didn't really have that alpha dog that everybody else listened to and could take the message when it wasn't coming from you. And this team seems to really take a cue from him and really be locked into him and his message.
Yeah, he's a fighter. He's a competitor. And he wants to win, and he'll do what it takes to get that job done. And if that means it's facilitating and making his teammates better, or if it's him looking for his own shot, if that's what he's saying, he's gonna do. And he has the ability, and he's shown that he could take over a game like he did in the Texas game if he needs to. At the same time, he's a true point guard, and guys enjoy playing with him. And You know, he's got the right intangibles. He's a very vocal guy, very emotionally charged guy too.
Kind of bouncing off that, a lot of the early season talk was about Mo as kind of a pass first guard, but where he's really excelled has kind of been in the scoring department. How impressed have you been with his ability to kind of create his own shot in different areas?
I think that's a part of who he is, and he's shown he could do it at a high level in an event like that. But in a 3-game stretch like that, you could just really, he caught fire in the Texas game and was able to get to the free throw line, connected on his threes, and then he carried that momentum throughout the event, and that was more of his identity as a scorer. But I don't think that's truly who he is. And I think different games will present different circumstances for him, and he's just got to use his judgment, and I'll trust his judgment to make the right plays out there.
Coach, about a month ago, you said there was no timetable on the status of Adante. Is there anything new on him?
Not at the moment. He's still working to get back and progressing through the elbow, so I don't see him playing in the next couple of weeks, but he has been involved in a limited way in practice, so we'll see how that goes.
A couple other guys we haven't seen yet this regular season: Dame Salon, Jovan Isitovic, if I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Are those guys that might potentially see the floor soon?
Jovan and Dom have always been more like guys that we're gonna try and develop. And Jovan was coming off an ankle injury, and he missed about 2 months, so he's just starting to get back. He's going to redshirt this year. Dom is going to redshirt as well. So it's those guys are more like long term, trying to develop them as some more older, more experienced guys are playing.
And then also about Mo's leadership, we've seen him kind of engaging the teammates on the floor, and have heard him talking about like the rebound rewards that he's given his big guys. What do we not see that are behind closed doors about how he leads this team?
Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of guy like I've had in the past, and not to say that they're the same. They're not even close to the same. Like Zylan Cheatham, I could go to him and hey, I need this message delivered in practice this week, or I need you to act this way. Hey, I'm gonna yell at you in practice today, just so everybody else knows. Like, hey, we got to be ready, and Zylan allowed me to do that kind of stuff, and I could do the same thing with Mo. We really talked about the importance of this week coming off of Maui, because I just know what it's like to play those games and have all that travel, and then you get back, and are you right the next game, your next opportunity to play? Because the last time I did this, we were in Atlantis and came back and played Washington State, and it was a disaster. Like, we scored 29 points, I think, in the game. So you're fearful of all the travel and games in a short amount of time. So, but this is the last 5-game set now we got this month, and we were 4-1 in our last 5-game set. I told the guys we have 5 games in 9 days. We got to do a good job in those games, and here we are again with these last 5 non-conference games now.
So sitting at 6-2, with a whole cast of new guys, are you pretty pleased with being 6-2 at this point and what you've seen from this group?
Yes and no, because you have opportunities, and you can win a championship, and you don't get it done. That's never a positive in my mind. I appreciated how we got to the final in a good field with other teams that didn't get there, that had national rankings and things like that. So it was good work, but if we're going to become like a good team, a team that has a chance to knock on the door for a tournament opportunity, we have to get better on defense, and we have to get better in our rebounding. So that's all we've been really discussing and talking about this week, because the offense has grown some, and our numbers have gotten, our analytics and our metrics have gotten a lot better in those areas.
Coach, are there any other areas of improvement that you've noticed, and how do you feel about the confidence of improving in those areas over the rest of the non-conference slate and into conference play?
I mean, I like what we've done in terms of our ball security, taking care of the ball. Like, our numbers are low, right around 10 a game, and we're taking the ball away 15, so that's a positive for us. I think that shows our scrappiness and the pressure at times that we've been able to turn some teams over. That's been good. So that part of our defense has been good in our offense, but just continuing to share the ball, play the right way, and really getting those 50-50 balls we've struggled to get, free throw blockouts, and giving up offensive rebounds.
You talk about what lies ahead. Oklahoma's next up. They just had a pretty big win over Wake Forest, who took Michigan to the wire. What have you seen from them? What might you expect to see on Saturday?
Very experienced team, well-coached team. They run good sets on offense, particularly for Pack. To get him shots, he's leading the country in made three-point field goals, and he's been playing for a while, and he's a really good basketball player. And then they got Wagyu and Davis on front court that really crash and slash to the basket, live wire athletes that go after the ball. So they're really good at generating other possessions, offensive rebounds. I like Brown, their transfer guard from St. Joe's. He's another good player that when he's played well, they've played well. So they have good personnel and they're well coached. They go after the ball and rebound. And they got guys that could score it, particularly Pack. So they're a very, very good team. They're impressive to go on the road and play the way they did at Wake Forest.
And last season, you guys played another game at the Suns Arena against GCU, a team that a lot of people picked to be one of the best mid-majors in the country. Came out with a big win. So what has the message been like this week? Obviously, much different team, but you're kind of hoping for a similar result.
I feel like watching Oklahoma, you know, the Gonzaga game, I'm not sure if they were who they are right now. Like, they've taken a big step. That's what teams do in the non-conference. They may look like one thing 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. All of a sudden now they're a new team. I think Oklahoma, looking at them, they're an NCAA tournament team. So if you want to have a chance to compete in March, then these are the type of teams you have to be able to compete with and beat.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.